Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something pretty fascinating, but also, a bit concerning. It's about the recent cyber attack on Hawaiian Airlines. We've looked at the public statements, from the airline regulators, plus some industry takes. Our goal here is to really unpack what went down, the immediate fallout, and I guess what it tells us about digital security overall, especially in these really critical industries. Like many of you probably, when I first heard airline cyber attack, I immediately thought, oh no, chaos, right? Flights canceled, people stuck everywhere. But then the report said something surprising. Flights and safety, totally unaffected. How does that even work?
Yeah, it's easy to jump to that worst case scenario. It's a natural reaction. And that's exactly why Hawaiian's clarification coming out so fast was just so important. The initial reports did confirm, look, some internal IT systems were hit, disrupted. But, and this is the big but, flight safety, core operations, they kept going. Business as usual in that sense. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, they even stepped in to confirm it too. No impact on safety. And that really allowed them to handle things in a more controlled way, which is what you need.
Right. The controlled response seems absolutely key. Because even with the FAA saying safety was fine, seeing that, banner alert on their website, that still makes people nervous. And Hawaiian isn't exactly a small operation, is it? I mean, we're talking 10th largest U.S. commercial airline, over 7,000 staff, something like 235 flights daily, serving, 15 mainland cities and 10 international spots. So when they confirm an attack, even with flights okay, what did that disruption actually look like?
Well, what stands out is how quickly they tried to reassure everyone while keeping things running. That website banner, that was the main thing people saw, calling it an ongoing cyber event. Yeah. Behind the curtain, though, they were moving fast, pulled in external cybersecurity folks, notified law enforcement, the standard playbook, but critical steps. But really getting the message out fast about flight safety, that was job one for maintaining trust. And what's really interesting, maybe a bit telling, Alaska Airlines, who just acquired Hawaiian, right? They put out a similar notice. That probably isn't just a coincidence. It kind of hints at maybe a wider issue, or at least a shared concern across their systems.
Okay, so we know it was hit internal IT.
Yeah.
But like you said, the things we don't know yet, that's maybe where the bigger story is about the threats airlines face now. What are those big question marks still hanging over this?
Yeah, there are definitely some important unknowns. The big one is the type of attack. Was it ransomware? Were they trying to steal data? Or maybe it was just Hawaiian detecting something weird and shutting things down themselves to stop it spreading. That's what we call a containment measure. It can look like an attack's impact from the outside, but it's actually a defensive move. And so far, no hacking group has stepped up to say, we did it. That silence can be telling, too. Makes it harder to figure out who did it and why. Was it criminals after money or, maybe something else, like a state actor?
So this specific incident, it really just sort of pulls back the curtain on this bigger vulnerability in aviation, doesn't it? Especially with threats seemingly getting more sophisticated. This Hawaiian thing feels like part of a pattern.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely part of a larger trend, a wave of attacks hitting the airline industry globally. Just recently, remember WestJet? Canada's second biggest airline. They had an attack back on June 13th, took down their app, their website for a bit. And here's the thing people often miss. Yes, the core flight systems, they're usually air-gapped, right? Physically separate from the internet. But the business side, booking, internal emails, logistics, that stuff is deeply connected and, vulnerable. It creates this weird sort of air-gap paradox. Hitting those supposedly non-critical systems can still cause massive disruption, reputation, money, trust. It all takes a hit. It's forcing airlines into thinking about resilience across their entire digital footprint, not just hardening the cockpit systems.
That's a really critical distinction. The business side versus the flight ops side. So for us, the passengers, and for the industry, what does all this mean going forward?
Well, the main takeaway is the incredible pressure airlines are under now. It's not just about buying the latest cybersecurity tech. It's also navigating more and more regulations. And think about us, right? We rely on their digital systems for everything now. Booking, check-in, boarding passes on our phones. The stakes are just incredibly high if those systems go down. Hawaiian says they're working on getting everything back online smoothly, which is good. But these events just highlight this constant cat and mouse game, an evolving battle against really smart threats. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? We worry about planes being hacked out of the sky, but often the biggest headache comes from something seemingly simple, like the booking website crashing.
Yeah, absolutely. This deep dive, it really shows impressive resilience, keeping planes flying safely amidst a cyber attack. That's huge. But it also feels like, maybe a bit of a narrow escape, and definitely a stark reminder of the challenges that are still out there. These Situations are just so complex, required such a rapid, coordinated response. So thinking about how much we rely on these digital systems, not just for travel, but everything, what does this ongoing fight, this battle between attackers and defenders, actually mean for our daily lives, for global connection? Maybe for you listening, what cybersecurity measures do you think are the most crucial for airlines to focus on right now? Something to mull over.